Hi guys, welcome to Black Diesel Garage. I'm Gabe, and in this video, we're going to talk about owning a 7.3. Should you own a 7.3? I had someone, I believe their name was Connor, in comment on a recently posted short, ask, I really can't remember how the comment went, but basically I believe he was asking what my thoughts were on owning a 7.3. And I'm going to walk around a little bit and explain my point of view and my experience owning the 7.3. Right here behind me is my 70 Ford that I haven't done a whole lot with other than four-wheel drive frame swap it. And it's been a dead process for a while just because I'm kind of waiting on when I have time and the funds to just go through it and make a nice truck out of it all at once. But just randomly sitting here, here's a 7.3 Power Stroke. It's got the turbo, it's got some electronics in it. I'm not a big fan of electronics, but they have their place. And these motors, I don't have a whole lot of experience with the Power Stroke motors, but I know a lot of people love them, and they say they're a great, reliable diesel that has power to pull, but does not have emissions on it and lasts a long time. I've had a lot more 6.9 and 7.3 IDIs. But here's just motor sitting there. Figured I'd show it, make a cool intro. But here I'm going to walk over because it's sitting over here to, this isn't my truck, but it's a Power Stroke truck I have driven. All right. I might be wrong. I believe this might be a 95 Power Stroke, 4-speed with overdrive, I believe, 5-speed, whatnot. This truck, I've driven my diesels a lot, used this truck, hauling a little bit of weight, not too much. But the nice thing is one of these Power Strokes, you can accelerate going uphill, pulling something. The IDIs, not so much. I have not driven a turboed IDI, so there could be the difference. If you had a turbo IDI, you maybe could get more power going up hills and stuff. As far as the Power Strokes go, I know a lot of people love these trucks and they say they're reliable. I'm just not big on electronics, and I'm not big on more expenses if you have to fix something. And I ran used motor oil for quite a while. And I don't like the idea of crummy motor oil fuel meshing with electronics. You can do it, and a lot of people do, but that's just my reason why I hadn't ran Power Stroke trucks. And they're actually, compared to other stuff, they're not that expensive to fix. I can't remember the price of injectors are, but nothing like these brand new diesels. And I'll probably talk into later why I drive a newer gas truck now, but that's due to my work situation. And that's one thing, your truck should be suited for your work, really. That's what trucks are generally for, is work. So you might as well have the truck that's suited best for your work. These typically, for a diesel, I've heard, great, not too expensive, and they're not that hard to fix compared to the newer diesels. But in my opinion, they are more expensive and more to go wrong than the IDI. But I know a lot of people love them. A lot of people rely on them. They seem like a good, reliable motor. And as far as I've driven them, they seem pretty nice, except for the Power Stroke and the IDI. I've noticed driving like feed yard trucks that sit around, it's not too good just to idle them around all the time. If you're going to idle a lot, I'd say go with an older, cheaper gas motor like a 351 Windsor if you're going forward, maybe 460. But the Power Stroke and IDI diesels aren't too good on idling because they build up carbon and it's just not nice to the motor. This 7.3 right here is not mine, but I was just walking by it and it's cool, and this is a video about 7.3s, so why not show it off. But this truck was used for hauling some good sized loads of hay, and it's the 7.3 IDI non-turbo with a 4-speed that used to be in a 6.9, I believe. And you can still haul big loads with trucks like this. You just go a lot slower. You can pull the weight just fine. And the thing that really is hard is trying to go the more modern day highway speeds, toting weight, especially when it's boxy and catches a lot of wind. I've used 6.9s and 7.3s for hauling campers, and you can actually haul a lot of weight on one of these trucks, and you can go a decent speed. But it's really, once you get something boxy that catches wind, is when you have a lot of trouble. And another reason where the Power Stroke would be better over the IDI is that these things do not start that good in the cold. You can plug them in, you can make sure you have a good glow plug, a good working glow plug system. That really helps. And I've had some 6.9s that seem to start worse than 7.3s, but they don't start good under 60 degrees, which isn't bad. But the Power Strokes start way better in the cold. So if it's an all the year round daily driver and you're driving, not just using it for like ranch work, but driving, say you live out of town, you're driving to town or driving around in town a lot, it's nicer to have a better starting vehicle in the winter. So it would be better, in my opinion, to have a Power Stroke for the reasons of if you're in the cold a lot using the truck. All right, and here we have a 6.9 IDI with a turbo I have not ran, a 7.3 with no turbo, another 7.3 with no turbo, and a triple nickel Cummins V8 Cummins diesel that does not matter for this video. But here's some more 7.3, 6.9, same dealio trucks. But I like them just for the price point of, if you're have to tear this thing apart, it's easy to tear apart. You can pull an injection pump and replace an injection pump in anywhere from 1 to 2 hours, depending on how much you've done it. So then you could get injectors, fuel lines, and injection pump for probably under $200 for one of these. So that's another nice point. And they're so simple. You have an injector clog, it's just mechanical. You can pull the injector out, pull the injector apart, spray it with brake clean, reassemble it, and put it in the truck. They're really foolproof and simple and cheap to work on. I can't remember the price for an injector, just one, but probably $20 to $60. That's way cheaper than any other diesels on injectors. I mean, you go to a mechanical diesel, older ones, there's others like the 6.5, probably the 12-valve Cummins with mechanical injectors that are probably actually about in the same price range. But I'm just basing Ford diesel off newer Ford diesels because this was about 7.3s. So I think it's perfectly fine to drive these old trucks as long as you haven't got one that's sat for years and years or been beat on the farm like crazy. Then you tend to have more issues. As always, a well-kept truck with lower miles, they run better typically. So it is nicer to have a low mileage, cleaner truck example. These you can't always find. They're usually old beat trucks, since a lot of them have a lot of years on them now. But for me, one of these, where it doesn't care if I throw old motor oil in it with a high mixture of fuel, with a high mixture of gas in the oil, or a low mixture, it doesn't make a difference. This thing will run on it and likes it. So I like something I can be cheap on fuel with, and it'll get me from A to B if you have a more reliable one. I mean, there's nothing wrong with running these old diesels, and you can actually, I've liked the 6.9 betters and had better luck with my 6.9s, probably just the transmission gear ratio I wound up with in them. But you can go 90 miles an hour in these. So you can go highway speeds, have a cheap diesel to fix, and if you're just wanting an old beater truck that you're going to use sometimes for pulling, but not all the time for pulling, I really like the idea of having cheap to fix, cheap fuel if you want to make your own fuel that doesn't barely cost you anything, and that it gets like 18 miles a gallon. So like if you can have, in my opinion, the bullnose body style of 6.9 with a 4-speed, just single cab, long box, 2 or 4-wheel drive, that'd be a great truck to get to and from places. And diesel is a little more expensive, but the fact that you're getting 18 miles a gallon with one of these versus a lot of other pickups, it makes sense. So as long as you have a reliable one and you're not going state to state like I've been going lately, pulling a camper, I think the IDIs are a great truck to have. I just don't have that much experience with the Power Strokes, and they are a little more expensive and have a little more electronics, which I don't care for those kinds of things because I don't like working on that stuff. But if you're okay with working on that stuff once in a blue moon and they're actually not that problematic generally, I've heard they're great trucks and a lot of people love them and a lot of people are after them due to the fact that you don't have to have any emissions junk on them. So that's a good route. I'm going to go over here and talk about my gas pickup a little bit now. All right, here's my plain Jane gas pickup. It's a single cab, 6.2 gas, long box, 4-wheel drive work truck. And diesel gets better fuel economy. But like I was working on the road, it didn't work as well for me in the application, driving from state to state, pulling a camper. So this thing, being gas, will start better in cold weather versus the older diesels, which didn't and needed to be plugged in. So say you're working on pipeline, your truck sits in one spot all day, then you go to get in it and it was somewhere out in the woods where you can't plug it in, you may have a little trouble starting. Gas pickups start up great in the cold. I'm actually probably going to wind up working in South Dakota now, so the gas will be great in that situation. Also, the reason I went with a newer gas pickup is because, one, I just wound up with this one because it had low miles, and that was great for me. Another reason is if you're going to get a pickup, look on what they generally cost to fix and their general issues. The 6.0 Chevy, 6.5 Chevy, and the 5.3 Chevy, and the 6.2 gas Ford, they do hog some fuel, but they are long lasting where you don't have to do much to them. Had several Chevys with 400,000, perfectly fine. This has very low miles, but I've seen a lot of videos, talked to a lot of people that said they have had almost no issues up to 200,000 miles. So that would be my promotion for these, except for they are bad on fuel. But versus getting the same year of diesel truck, things I don't like about them is a guy I really like to watch, Dave's Auto Center or Dave's Diesel Repair or something like that. You guys probably know who he is. He's shown a lot of the 6.7 stuff where the emissions on it, they build up with a lot of carbon in 200,000 miles. Well, I wouldn't want to have that much carbon just sitting in my motor after 200,000 miles. And just the price of those modern diesels to fix if they have an issue is astronomically higher than the gas burners or the old diesels. And they're more picky about fuel. And another thing, in my opinion, I worked with a lot of guys with the Chevys. The Chevys with the emission systems on them, you load the truck down with a weld bed or a camper or trailer, a lot of those guys told me they were getting 6 miles to the gallon pulling heavy loads with DEF on their truck. Deleting the emissions changed it. So the older truck that you don't have to have that stuff on, it's just a lot nicer to get the good fuel mileage towing, because like them old pickups back over there that I showed you guys, my fuel economy would not change much pulling a heavy load versus non-towing. But of course, you put the DEF on there and towing a heavy load, them 19 Chevys get about 6 miles a gallon from the guys I worked with at least. Whereas me driving my gas pickup, my fuel was cheaper per gallon than their fuel. And non-towing, I did get worse than them. I get like 16 highway and 13 to 10 towing, generally around 10 is my average towing, or just driving country roads and little towns and stuff, 10 miles a gallon. Well, a lot worse fuel mileage for the price point there. But at the time when I bought this, I was going to load it down with a welding bed and driving back and forth pulling a camper. The thing is, my fuel's cheaper per gallon and I can get 10 miles a gallon in this thing rather than having a diesel, which is more expensive to fix, more expensive fuel, and if you put a welding bed on it and a camper and whatnot, you're going to get 6 miles a gallon. So that was my reason for, as of now, switching to gas. Versus when I was working around here home, I drove the 6.9s and 7.3s because that's what made more sense for my application. I don't know if there's any other points I should touch on that. I really can't come up with any. If you guys have any questions, just put them down in the comments and maybe I'll make a video or get to those. But that's really just my opinion on those trucks and what applications they're good for based off of my experiences with them. So there could be way more things out there, but I mean, I have no idea on this, but someone could say, oh, up in Alaska, they don't work good for this reason. And well, I'm not there, so I don't know about it. That's not my experience. This is just what I know from how I've used them. But I hope this helps you all out if you're deciding on 6.9 or 7.3. Just someone asked me, I think maybe their name was Connor. Can't remember if I said that in the beginning of the video. So this is just a response video, and I didn't have anything else lined up. So the Friday that this is getting posted is the day I'm actually filming this. So be posted a little bit after I got done filming. So hope that helped y'all. Hope it was informational to you, and we'll catch you on the next one, Black Diesel Garage. See you guys.